Good morning, everybody. I'm Domonic Espinoza. Today's objective is masonry placement, CMU masonry placement combined with a little bit brick placement. That'll be our objective today. Before I get going, I'd like the class to introduce themselves.
My name is Anthony Simmons. I'm a brick block mason apprentice, and I currently work for Keystone Masonry, and I'm at 60%.
My name is Eric Kent. I'm 100% apprentice. I'm actually the instructor for the brick here at our Western Washington Masonry Trades, and Dominic is our coordinator. Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Munoz. I'm a brick mason and 65 apprentice, and I work for Moorfield Mason.
My name is Saul Diaz. I work for PCC. I'm a 75% apprentice, and I work for Unicorn.
So each of you apprentices should have this content in front of you. First of all, we'll have horizontal masonry layout formulas, vertical masonry layout formulas, which we'll go over. And we have a quiz, which we'll be answering at the end of this. It's 10 questions, very simple. But by reviewing this content and having this cheat sheet, we will be able to answer these 10 questions at the end of this lesson plan. Does everybody have the content?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about masonry horizontally, formulas for layout. We're going to do just a broad perspective of fundamental masonry placement, right? We would get into exact in the next portion of this instructional. But for right now, we're going to do just basic fundamentals of masonry placement. Can anybody tell me the difference between nominal and exact?
The difference between nominal is the number of the masonry unit, including the head joint or bed joint, whereas the exact is just the dimension of that masonry unit.
Okay, and so out in the field, they say block CMU are either 8s and 16s. We know that to be the nominal number. The exact number would be 15 and 5/8 and 7 and 5/8. So now that we get clarity on what is nominal and exact, we're going to determine the last block laid horizontally in a wall. And so before we get going, I want to ask the question, how many block in 20 feet? If I were to lay 20 foot of masonry from one end of the floor to the other end of the floor, how many block would I have in that wall?
15.
15, correct. All right, so how I determine that is if the wall in feet is divisible by 4, number 4, the last block of the CMU will be a full block. Meaning, if I had a 16-foot wall and I divided it by 4, I know I'm going to have full block. 20 foot is divisible by 4, I'm going to have full block. 8 foot divisible by 4, I'm going to have full block on that first coursing of wall. If the wall is not divisible by 4 feet and is an even number, like let's say 10 foot, 14 foot, 18 foot, the last block will be a half or a corner return. If the number is an odd number in feet, if I took my tape and measured from a door jamb to an end of wall mark, a snap line, and it was 7 feet, I know it's going to be 4s or 12s up against that door jamb, right? Architects design on feet, and sometimes they're odd, and that's why we have so many 4s and 12s on a CMU wall, all right? It's important for an apprentice to know masonry placement because it helps you get ahead of your cuts. If you can see the vertical and the horizontal masonry placement, you can figure out your cuts and get ahead. Right? We think about lifts here, 4-foot lifts, 6 courses. A door jamb is usually about 12 courses. And so we should be cutting for the whole duration of the door, not the lift, so you can get ahead and get on the wall. That's the objective, right? If it's any dimension that's off of this system, you will know how to navigate that last cut. Knowing where the end of the full block is, knowing where the end of the half block is, and knowing where the 4 and 12 cuts are, it'll help you easily navigate what are 2s and 10s, what are 3s and 11s, what are 5s and 13s. This formula will get you there. All right, now moving into vertical masonry layout formulas. If we had a 4-foot wall and we wanted to determine the course height, 4 foot, we're going to chop 4 in half. We're going to add it to itself, and that's 6. And so we're going to be 6 courses high on a 4-foot wall. Now we're going to move on to 20 foot, right? 20 foot, same formula, coming up with the answer of coursings high. If I took a 20-foot wall 20 foot, and we divided it in half. We're going to have 10. I'm going to add it to itself, and we're going to have 30 courses. And so those are simple formulas to either know how many courses you have to achieve to top of masonry, or if you counted the wall, you would know what elevation you were at. Now that we're out here in the shop, does everybody have their PPE on? We need hard hats, safety glasses, and gloves. If we don't have that, we're gonna have to get it. There's a pair of gloves there, and we have some fresh gloves in the storage. Now that we got our 100% PPE on, we're ready to do layout. Regardless if we're getting our hands in the mortar, or performing install, if we're even just identifying heights of masonry walls on the job site, we should be 100% PPE. Safety's job one. All right, so after we talked about masonry vertical heights in the classroom, we're gonna see the demonstration right here on this wall. We've got 2 foot, 24 inches, 3 courses. As we move up, we got the even plus 8, odd plus 4, even plus 8, odd plus 4, identifying heights every 2 feet, every 8 inches in CMU block. Questions?
So what happens if you're like in a building that's already built and you have a ceiling height? You have to meet that ceiling height. What do you do then?
Course count.
Course count, right?
You would course count. You would determine what course that ceiling height is. And you count down, and you could figure your cuts.
For clarity, are you trying to determine, like, if you're in a parking garage and you want to know what that last cut of the wall is?
If I'm in a parking garage, how do I determine my rip cut? And so with these steps I'm going to show you, we're going to use this back wall to determine what our rip cut will be if our elevation of our parking garage was the top of that blue trim here. So first of all, I'm going to start off with a 4 foot increment. I'm going to measure up with my tape and mark 4 foot. That is 4 foot. I'm going to clip on to my lid, and so traditionally we do not go tight to the lid. We may have to ask our foreman, do we want a 3/4 inch gap from the lid? Do we want a 1/2 inch, or do we want an inch or better? Your foreman will tell you that. So we're going to call it an inch gap. Right?
For deflection.
For deflection in this parking garage, for movement. And so if this was tight to the lid, I'm going to bring a masonry number plus my 1 inch gap. And so this is 4 foot plus my 1 inch gap. And now I can figure out in between this 4 foot mark and this 1 inch mark what my cut will be. If I measure to my mark, I've got 8.5 inches. So what a bricklayer would do in this increment, or in this situation, is gain slightly that 1/2 inch to terminate that with a solid block. Okay, with the knowledge that we conveyed in the classroom, I'm going to be able to tell you the length of this wall and the height of this wall just by looking at it. I know that there's 4 foot to every 3 block, and so right there we have a 10 foot 8 wall, just on visual, right? I have 4 foot, 8 foot, and I got 2 block, and 2 block, 2 foot 8, 32 inches. Adding all those up, I come up with 10 foot 8, nominally. And so Eric, let's confirm that. And so right here, we're close to 10 foot 8 inches length of wall, right? No cut. And then, with the knowledge that we conveyed in the classroom, I can tell you the height of this. We know that every 6 courses is 4 foot, so we're at that 4 foot 8 increment. All right, well, with the information conveyed in the classroom, we're going to do the same thing here. Without using the tape, I already know that I've got 1, 2, 3 block 4 foot, plus another 1 foot 4 would be 5 foot 4 on this wall. And then we talked about 3 courses being 2 foot, right? And so I've got a set of 3, 2 foot. I got another set of 3 coursings, 4 foot. I got another set of 3 coursings, 6 foot. So the elevation of this wall is 6 foot. Do we all agree? Do we all understand that? All right, so now we're going to tape it out to make sure that we were right. Right here, I've got 5 foot 4. And from top to bottom, I have 6 foot increment. Now, for you guys, let's go and identify some heights and lengths of walls over here. Anthony, can you identify the height of this masonry wall with the information given in the classroom?
Yes, I can. 6 feet.
6 feet.
6 feet.
And how'd you come up with that?
One lift is 4 feet, and then you have half of a lift on top of that, so that's another 2 feet, which is 6 feet.
Correct. All right, with the information given in the classroom, can you tell me the length of this wall?
Okay, I know the length because I know that 15 block equals 20 feet. Then I added, there was 18 block of this wall, so I added 3 block to it, and I got 24 feet.
Correct. In the height?
6 foot.
Awesome.
Because of the lift is 4 feet, added 3 block, turned to 6 feet, 8 times 3, 20.
All right. With our cheat sheets, we are going to identify the marks on this snap line. We have 3 marks. Anthony, why don't you give Jonathan the butt end of the tape and you pull it out and read the increments on the floor. First increment.
We are at 7'4", which is 5.5 blocks.
Correct. Next increment.
We have 14 feet exactly, which is 10.5 blocks. And then for the last one, we have 16'8", which is 12.5 blocks.
Good job. All right, with the information conveyed in the classroom, we're going to identify the length of this wall without a tape measure.
Okay, so I'm going to determine that is I have three blocks, 3 CMU. 3 CMU equals out to 4 feet. And then I have another 3 here. So we have 8 feet in total there with just our regular standard block. And then we add a 12-inch cut. So at the 12-inch cut, we have another foot added on there. So now, 3 feet, 4 feet, 8 feet. Now we got 9 feet.
Correct. Good job. Okay, with the information conveyed in the classroom and my demonstration of knowledge and your demonstration of knowledge, we're going to head back into the classroom to do a 10-question quiz to see and ensure that we have the right information given. Okay, after the knowledge given in the classroom, the demonstration of knowledge by me and the demonstration of knowledge by you, we're going to take this 10-question quiz. I'm going to read the questions and pick on you guys to answer these questions. So, starting with number 1, a blueprint calls out for a 2-foot by 2-foot opening at 11.7. Using the CMU patterns, coursing patterns, you're welcome to use your cheat sheet. What is the correct height for the cut underneath the opening at 7.11? Eric, do you have that answer?
Yeah, I accounted for the 3/8 bed joint, and I went to 11'4", which is odd plus 4. Or I subtracted the number from that to come up with 2 inches and 5/8 of an inch. 2 and 5/8 of an inch.
Would be the answer. That's correct. In a parking garage, blueprint requires a 1-inch deflection gap at 10'6" under pinned work. What should be the top course cut in this scenario, Eric?
Well, given your formula that you gave us earlier, I know that 10 foot is a full block. So if I take 1 inch for deflection from 6 inches minus the 3/8 for the bed joint, I come up with 4 5/8 of an inch.
Correct. Excellent. Coursing pattern application, question number 3. A CMU wall is planned to stop at 5'6". Using the coursing pattern formula, will a full block land on this height? If not, what is the nearest proper height? Again, we're going to go with you, Eric. We're going to get the first 3 questions out of you.
I came up with no, that's not a full block, and the correct answer is 5'4".
Because your odd plus 4 inches would be the top of block. Correct. Thank you. All right, number 4. We're going to go with Anthony, Mr. Simmons for number 4. Blueprint verification. A CMU wall is specified to be at 10'9" tall. Is 10'9" block work? If not, can a bricklayer make this work by gaining in mortar joints? And how much would they have to gain each course? So Anthony, can you come up with that answer?
So I wrote, no, this is not block work, going based off the pattern you gave us earlier. And then for my next answer, yes, the bricklayer would need to gain a 16 per course. 16.
All right, moving on to the next page. Aligning to a steel beam. Number 5, a steel beam is installed at 6'9". What is the cut underneath the beam? Anthony, I'm going to go with you with that question.
I wrote down 1 inch, but you would most likely need room for deflection. So no cut may be needed.
All right. Moving on to masonry door heights. A masonry frame is 7'4" tall, but the contractor ordered 7'2" frames. How tall will the lintel cuts need to be with a 7'2" frame? Jonathan, what do you think about that?
Yes. So 7'4" works masonry. So if we throw a regular block above it, it would work. It would be 2 inches above the door frame. But since the door frame is 2 inches lower than they asked for, now we have to make the lintel 9 5/8, 2 inches above the frame.
Correct. Question number 7, verifying a opening height in CMU walls. The architect specifies a 3x3 window opening in a CMU wall at 7'4". Will this properly fit in the coursing patterns, or does it need to be revised? Saul, can you give me an answer to that question?
Yes, it will fit.
Thank you. Correct. All right. The next one's for you also, Saul. Finding the next coursing height. A CMU wall is currently at 4'8". What would be the next full coursing? Saul?
According to the information you give us, it will be 5'4".
Correct. Thank you. All right. Moving on to question number 9. Top of course cut for a 10-foot wall. If the CMU is exactly 10 foot 3 inches tall, what is the height of the last course and what cut size does it need to be?
So based off of the information you gave us, the top of the wall is marks at 10 feet. So we would need a 3-inch cut, but since we need space, we would have to make the cut at 2 5/8 with the joint.
10. This is going to be geared towards you, Jonathan, once again. What cut would be needed for a 12'6" wall?
We know even numbers are the top of the wall, so 12 feet would be the top of the wall originally with no cut. And now that the wall is 12'6", we would have to put a 5 5/8 cut in there with their joint.
Correct. Thank you. You guys did great. Thanks for being here today. Hopefully you learned the information conveyed. It's imperative to your career, toward your apprenticeship, to know and understand masonry placement. Thank you.